I've decided to start recording my week of training as a little screen recorder from Strava, just because I train quite a bit, to be fair, and I always get questions about what it is that I do to keep in shape as a full-time working dad, and what my week looks like in terms of splits and the type of training I do, etc, etc. So I thought, for a bit of cathartic release for me as well, like I can record everything in Strava anyway, might as well talk through at the top of each week what the weeks look like and the training sessions I've done, and then if you've got any questions, I guess you can just drop them in the comments below. Bear with me because this isn't the best form of video, I appreciate that, and I'm very new to this, so what you may get may sound terrible, but I'll give it a go anyway. You can let me know your thoughts. I mean, the first thing is I start each week, Mondays and Thursdays I do an early Jiu Jitsu class. So we do 6 till 7 on a Monday and a Thursday. Monday's no gi, Thursday's gi. Basically we do 20, we do warm up, 20 minutes of drilling technique, then about half an hour of rolling, 5-minute rounds, minute rest at the end. And that's pretty much every week at the minute. It's been constant for the last 7-8 months. Used to do 3 classes a week, but in evenings, and then since the little one I found it difficult to do that, so I switched to the morning ones. So that's the first session I do on a Monday. I don't track in that session, I just log it on Strava just to keep note of it, really. And then Monday lunchtime I got out on a run. I try and run most Monday lunchtimes if I can. Probably won't do this week actually, but it's a 8k run, really easy, nice and slow zone 2 pacing, 40 minutes worth of running. You can scroll down and have a look at the heart rate data for you. Like I say, zone 1 warm up for first kilometre or so, and then the rest of it was in zone 2 and low heart rate, average 129, and that's pretty much a loop that I do quite a bit around where I live, and it's just a nice steady loop which keeps me ticking over from a zone 2 perspective. And then we're moving into Tuesday, so I ran a couple of marathons, one at the back end of last year, one in April this year. But after that I got back into a bit more CrossFit again. So the session on Tuesday morning, it's 2 workouts. I always try and make these somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. So the first one was 150 double unders, 20 strict pull-ups, 30 box get-overs, 20 strict pull-ups, and then 150 double unders again. That one took about 10.5 minutes or so. And then rested and did a bit of an EMOM, which I like to do, this combination, calorie skiing, toes to bar, alternating minutes, because it's quite taxing on your core. So I do that just mainly to keep core work. Took me 34 minutes, and again, heart rate wise, mainly zone 2 and some zone 1 as we're starting. Most of my training's done in zone 2. I'm getting older now. I very rarely push it into the higher zones. You may see on a run later in the week that it tips up a bit. I think it's this one actually. On the Wednesday, I did a bit of an upper threshold. Lower threshold for me is probably around 420 per kilometre. Upper's probably low 430s, for sort of 33, 34. So this one was getting towards the upper threshold. 10k. Pacing started off above threshold, then dropped it down and held it through the rest of the kilometres. Did a kilometre probably just above. You can see there was a little, I had to stop at traffic lights so you can actually see there was a little bit of there was a 2-second average up, so it was like 430 probably. Heart rate wise, yeah, mainly zone 2 again. Did tip up into zone 3 for a tiny bit at the end, but again, even that, most of it is in zone 2, and that's where I do a lot of my training. When I run in the mornings, I run early, so I'm out the house between sort of 5:15, 5:30. So if I get back and the house is still asleep, and the little one and my wife, then I generally do a little bit of strength training in the kitchen. I just did a bit of lower uppers here, legs and upper pull. So I did Bulgarian split squats and strict chin-ups, 3 sets with a bit of tempo on each of the exercises. And then I didn't actually use the barbell for the end one. I have got a barbell. I just couldn't be bothered getting it out, to be honest. So I did dumbbells for that. Just 32.5 kilo dumbbells for the Bulgarian split squats there. I did basically 3 to 4 sets on that rather than doing it as a max, so to speak. Moving into Thursday, again Jiu Jitsu in the morning, an hour's Jiu Jitsu. Gi this time, same format, sort of roll for half an hour at the end, but then first 20 minutes, half an hour's warm up and technique. Friday, this was a good workout on Friday actually. First one was bench and toes to bar. Goal there was for each of the sessions, so the 2 rounds, the 2 30 rep rounds in the middle, and the last one should be between 2 minutes and 2:30, which I held for the first 3 sets. So the first 2 rounder, first 30, second 30 and 30. The last 2 rounder I slipped out of that. It was more like 240, high 240s. Bench is a bit of a weakness of mine. It was good to do, but it was quite a sort of low intensity. By this point I was feeling quite wrecked, to be honest with you. So then I did 2 shorter workouts here. The last one was a snatch when I scaled this, so that's 205, which is about 92, 93 kilos. I actually scaled it back to 82 and a half, I think it was. So it was just a snatch, then some rowing, snatch, then some rowing. It was quite nice. Each set just took under 5 minutes basically, rested 2 minutes and went again. But by this point I was feeling pretty beat up, and then you can see underneath, it was pretty 50-50 split, quite low for the bench and the toes to bar, and that's basically just like a bodybuilding type thing, that with a bit of a slightly elevated heart rate. And then the snatch one, it went into zone 2 again, quite higher, but overall it was pretty low heart rate. But the Friday evening we did a roll night, so it was the guy who he covers all the gyms in that sort of the jiu-jitsu group that he runs, Kojak's. He was getting a promotion on his black belt, so it meant that we had a roll night, which is essentially an hour and a half of rolling. I could only do the first hour due to childcare, but it was hot and humid and it was gi, so that absolutely smashed me. It's very rare that I'll do a back-to-back jiu-jitsu thing because my body struggles with it at the minute, but that's what I called for this week. And by this point I was feeling pretty rough, so Saturday morning, a bit of an easy CrossFit session. I actually got down, I did this at home. The first one was really simple. I did the front rack lunges for the first movement, so the sled push, and then just farmer's carry, sandbag carry and rest. They took me 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40, and it was 2 minutes, so I was actually getting more rest than the work was taking. It was really quite low intensity, that, to be honest. And the second one was just a sweaty mover, so it was just 10 sets, row, burpees, row, no weight, no loading. You can see from heart rate data, pretty much all zone 2. Relatively low heart rate, 132, with 15 minutes of just zone 1 for that first portion. The all of the zone 2 there was basically the row burpee. In the end, it was just every 4 minutes. Every 4 minutes doing a set of 20 calorie row burpees and row, and it wasn't taxing on the body. It was just sweaty, like I say, breathing work. And then Sundays, to be fair, I normally run, so I normally get out and do a long run, but I just wasn't feeling it. I just didn't want to run. I don't want to run today either, to be honest, and I probably won't. I think it's because it's so warm at the minute. Running's just doesn't feel appealing. But I essentially hit this in the gym. I went to the gym for this. It was 30 calories, air bike, steady pace, 10 deadlift, pick your weight. I think I did body weight around 82 kilos. 30 kilo air bike and 5 wall walks. That was about a 22-minute workout. Nothing crazy intense. The whole point was just to get the heart rate up, move some weight, and really low skill gymnastics with a slightly elevated heart rate. I wasn't ever at risk of failing. I wasn't ever at risk of having to split the deadlifts up. The point was just constant movement. And then I went into this last workout which it looks quite complex, but it's really not. So 3 sets. 1 set consists of 5 rounds. So you do 5 rounds of 200 meter bike erg, 10 dumbbell snatch, 1 rope climb, and that is a set. And it was really quick. Each set took under 5 minutes. It just went every 7:30, so you were getting about a 2-to-1 work rest ratio. Just under 5 minutes on to just over 2.5 off. Nice and simple. Tiny bit of intensity just by that point after the first workout. I was pretty warmed up just to wrap the week off, but I was feeling pretty beat up. And again, most of it zone 2, a chunk of it, about a quarter of it in zone 1, and then a tiny bit at the end. I mean, you can't even really class that 13 seconds, can you, as being in zone 3? So again, it was all zone 2. And that's pretty much how my week's gone. Last week, like I say, we'll run it again this week, but the Monday we'll be the same Jiu Jitsu, debating whether or not I'll run. Probably not, because I do feel pretty beat up. But that's essentially a week in training for me, volume wise. There was an extra Jiu Jitsu session in there, but the runs weren't crazy long. Did less volume running. Did a bit more CrossFit in there, but that's essentially how I train. So let me know below what your thoughts are. Obviously, bear with me on the presentation of these. They're terrible. My voice isn't great, but we'll see where we get to. But yeah, I'll catch you next week.